thank you very much to the Greens for organising this. Well, what a funny old world we live in, eh? Just 2 weeks ago, was it? Yeah, only 2 weeks ago, we woke up and everything had sort of shifted, really. It's like Bobby Ewing coming out of a shower, for those of you ancient enough to watch Dallas. Yeah. Well, for everybody who fought for the UK to remain part of the EU, obviously it's desperately upsetting. And I'm sure we've all been on a voyage. So it's quite energising to be here with you, with all friends, actually thinking about what now? You know, have the Greens got a plan? Is it cunning enough? I hope to be able to at least set your mind at rest about my intentions and talk a bit about the way that the news went down in the European Parliament. You know, I'm surrounded by friends here and by friends there as well. All apart from Mr. Juncker, who is the chair of the Commission, the president of the Commission, who seems to really want to take it out on Britain for having the temerity to leaving the EU. But I think actually what that vote was telling us is lots of things, and it's a message for Europe as much as it is for us, because all over Europe, in France, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Spain, there are movements, anti-European movements, anti-immigration movements, and xenophobic movements. Now, part of the problem for that undoubtedly lays with the institutions themselves. And certainly the Greens are very vocal about turning Europe into a kind of a unit that really can inspire and attract and provide confidence for the people who are part of the European regime. There's 500 million people. I'd better start looking at these notes. Well, look, basically, apart from the fact we haven't got a government, we have got an opposition, and nobody's got a plan, everything is looking really dandy. But, you know, we now have to really try and think about what now? Where do we go from here? And we've got to rise above the squabbling that's going on, the internecine warfare going on between the major parties. And we have to say, look, actually, nothing has really changed. We asked the public whether or not they wanted to be part of Europe or not. And for one reason or another, 2% more of the public said they'd rather leave than stay. They didn't say, now, do you want to lose £800 million from the university system? Because I don't think people would have voted for that. They didn't say, do you want to trash all the social legislation? You know, maternity rights, time off, paid holidays, equal rights for women and for men, entitlement to belong to trade unions. They didn't vote against that, and they wouldn't have. What they voted against was, well, politics as usual. In a way, I think they were saying to all politicians, a plague are on all your houses. We don't believe a word you said. And no wonder. You know, what happened to the Leave campaign as soon as they won? I don't think they thought they were going to win at all. That's why they were magnificently unprepared. It's a good bit. So when the result was made, you couldn't see them for dust. You couldn't see them saying, oh right, okay, well the £350 million we promised to give to the NHS, well actually that's not quite right. £3 billion a year to farmers. Well, no. We hope the government's going to do that. Now, and George Eustice, the farming minister, who I'm told is known to the people that know him as George Useless, who said the Birds and Habitats Directive are spirit crushing and need to be got rid of. Well, George Eustice had it wrong. I believe that's not spirit crushing, I think it's life enhancing. So I really will look at these notes because I'm sure they're very important. And what we have to do is we have to go forward finding a line where I can carry on to promote all the things that I've been working on, like air pollution improvements, like wildlife and animal welfare, like anti-fracking, like green energy, like climate change reductions, all those things. And what we need to do is to try and hold the government to account to actually enforce them. Because, if you take animal welfare, for instance, farm animals, in a European survey, 84% of European residents said, they think animal welfare is a good thing and it should be improved. And they pay more if they happen to want to eat their product. They pay more to eat animal welfare friendly foods. So, you can't say that people don't want it. What we have to do is to work in the situation that we're in, where we've got the real question marks over the Scottish situation and the situation in Northern Ireland, where both those places actually voted in a majority to stay. We are threatening the United Kingdom. And what's going to go forward, I really don't know. This petition's going onwards, and campaigns calling for everything from a second referendum to an independent London and EU citizenship for Remain voters. In Brussels, leaders are quite rightly concerned that negotiations begin as swiftly as possible, but they have accepted that David Cameron's a position that Article 50 won't be triggered until the new Prime Minister is appointed, which at least gives us a little space. Article 50 is the article of the treaty which covers, rather inadequately, which covers the eventuality of a member state wanting to leave. Once Article 50 is invoked, then there's a presumption of a 2-year period that allows for negotiations culminating in a final withdrawal. Quite honestly, the news agenda is changing every day, so I don't quite know what. Nobody can say what the either of the candidates for the Prime Minister's job are going to do. They've both ruled out a general election, and the second referendum, I think, is quite difficult. But I think that the House of the Commons should actually be voting on whether or not Article 50 is invoked, and it shouldn't be an executive decision of the Prime Minister. Similarly, I don't think that the withdrawal from Europe has any mandate. No political party really campaigned on it with a thought-out plan. And what needs to happen is we need to have negotiations, and the Greens will play a part in that in the European Parliament, to actually detail the deal. And then, I think that we need to go back to the people in some way, either through a political party or through a referendum. I say, well, look, this is the deal. Is it yes to the deal or no to the deal? Because for as long as Article 50 hasn't been invoked and we haven't withdrawn, we are still full members. So, in fact, there was a guy, the Prime Minister of somewhere this morning on the radio who said, look, it may never happen. Article 50 may never be invoked. But I think that the people have spoken. You have to listen to them, even though they're being lied like anything to. And you've got to give them a credit for expressing an opinion. And personally, I think that what this calls for is, well, yeah, okay, you've had a go at democracy. Well, actually, it worked because most of the people who voted actually got what they wanted. Why not try it all the time? In the UK, it's quite a good idea, isn't it? And that I'm obviously talking about electoral reform, where every vote counts, every time. Now, can you imagine the difference that would make at local level, in your local town hall, if the people who voted Green get Green, or if at Westminster, if you voted Green, your chances of getting a Green MP are vastly improved under a PR system. I'm elected under a PR system for the South East region. And that's once every 5 years. And that system allows for a diversity of opinion to come forward and have some weight. So I think that the message that I would like to be able to promote is that actually a plague in all their houses, these politicians, let's actually get people who are representing people in the community. Let's have realistic choices that we can achieve. And I think that we can do that through building a progressive alliance with other parties, with other politicians, and to hell with the policies, the party politics. Let's go straight to the people, because the people have spoken, and I think it's time to make every vote count every time. Make their voices actually matter. And I think that simple thrust should be a cornerstone of working together with other political groupings, and to actually say, look, we've had the rest. If you carry on voting for Tory or Labour or Lib Dem, you're actually going to get the same thing. You're going to get the same procrastinations, the same dissipation of policy. And what we want is something direct, something that starts in your community and works through to your party, and onwards and upwards. So I think what we're saying is Caroline, who's just arrived, welcome Caroline, Caroline released a 6-point cutting plan, and this was Caroline's viewpoint, which is really good now. We can use that as a basis for discussion, and she's calling for a general election this year. I think in one way this would be fantastic, in another way the Labour opposition just completely at sea and just simply won't be able to mount any effective opposition. So be careful what we wish for. As I say, both the Tory candidates have ruled it out, general election. Caroline's second point was a parliamentary vote on the terms of exit of Article 50, or before Article 50. And that I've already mentioned. The protection of free movement within the EU, strong environmental protections, workers' rights, and the single market. I mean, it was like having a conversation with a brick wall on many occasions in that campaign. I sort of try and converse with people about why they want to vote leave, and they would say well, it's immigrants, or they'd say, I can't get a job. Actually, there's no housing, and sort of thinking, well, actually, really, if you pin it down, the EU is not responsible for this. You know, if we've got access to the single market, and most of that's, I think, in everybody's mind, that's the majority reason for wanting to be part of Europe. Access to 550 million consumers, tariff-free trading, and, you know, that goes hand in hand with a free movement for workers. You know, the other side of immigration is from outside of Europe, which has got nothing to do with Europe, which is still retains control by the government. So Caroline's further points were an emergency law guaranteeing the rights of non-British nationals already living here. I see that was in the news this morning. And a second referendum on the terms of the final deal. Well, I think we definitely need to seek a mandate, or a mandate needs to be sought for taking such a huge step. I mean, you know, the dollar and the pound. The pound is 30%, it's the weakest against the dollar for 30 years. It's an onward spiral downwards with the pound versus the euro. You know, these things construction are beginning to show the signs of disinvestment. You know, we are going to be in a very serious place for the longer the time we carry on until a decision is finally made. Now, I think that the public isn't ready yet to hear about a second referendum. I think we need to be embarking on information giving session, and for the next 2 years, or the next 2.5 years, while I'm still the MEP, I will be spending a lot of my time in the constituencies, actually telling it like it is, and trying to be a bridge for people to better understand what it is we got from Europe and what it is we risk finally losing. And I think that, you know, there's going to be people there who made the decision to vote leave on emotional grounds, and, you know, they weren't really swayed by facts. But I think as the holidays get more expensive, as the food gets more expensive, they are going to find their lives more directly impacted, and I think that will bring home the message of the risk.